Welcome to Locked On Golden Knights. VGK signs 2 players to minimum contracts. We'll return with more right after this.
You're Locked On Golden Knights, your daily podcast on the Vegas Golden Knights, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Golden Knights. Thanks for making us your first listen each and every day. Tony Cardasco and Chris Golick in Las Vegas. I'm at Tony Dasco. He is at TD Chris G. And Chris, our YouTube channel is starting to blow up. We need folks to subscribe.
Yeah, no doubt about that. We're definitely having a lot of fun giving us a reason to put on hats, or Tony is one of those weirdos that likes to shower and stuff really quick before he comes on and everything, so don't let Tony's showers go to waste, folks. You can see his pretty face right there, and looks like he shaves and everything, unlike the co-host on this side of the show.
So nobody's making less than Jake, and welcome back, Cotter. I'm sorry, man. With all due respect to the ska band and to Gabe Kaplan, VGK is getting Jake Leschyshyn and Paul Cotter.
I hate ska music. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
3-year minimum contracts that start in the $700,000 range. And, we talked about this last week. They had these players, and then they have one other player, of course, in Nick Hague, that they have to get signed, right? And that's about it. And then they could maybe move on from that. So Nick Hague probably in that $3 million range. If so, how much money will VGK have left to spend under the cap heading into this upcoming season?
So we were chatting a little bit, just you and I here. Let me go through our text here. It's probably the quickest. So it looks like we can, using the term that Cap Friendly had, 96.6 million is our limit we can go. So roughly 16 million over the cap is the way I read the wording, or not 16, excuse me, pardon me. 96.6 is the upper total we can go. The upper limit is what, 83, 84, something like that. So with all the injuries and everything happening and LTIR situations, long-term short without Hague being considered, I think right now, present time, we're in about the $7 to $8 million range, which that's remarkable just by itself right there. I don't know how comfortable McCrimmon is right now, because he feels like the paycheck to paycheck maxed out credit card type based on his buying habits with the VGK in the last 5, now coming into season number 6, obviously. So we got some money to burn. We'll talk about that in the second segment a little bit deeper, but yeah, we'll just kind of see how it goes. I guess kind of going back with Leschyshyn and Cotter, those are both two-way contracts, I have to assume, correct?
I believe so too. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so that's certainly that's not going to count against the cap unless they play. And if they're up playing, it's not going to matter because they're both at the league minimum. But both signings are certainly important to VGK and HSK both. This now rounds out basically the Silver Knights roster and our top tier of reinforcements. Breswan obviously is the top of everything. And then after that, Leschyshyn's probably next. And then after your next tier up as far as the forward side is obviously going to be Ronbjerg, Cotter, and then the lottery, or the Keno ticket, pardon me. The Keno ticket is probably Pavel Dorofeev. And then obviously on the defensive side, Miramonov, and the prospect, why I forgot his name, Keegan Korczak. Korczak too. So, and the goalies, we'll talk about that in segment 3, obviously, but now the HSK roster is all set. Our VGK reinforcements are all set pending any acquisitions.
So let's see. Leschyshyn, 41 NHL games this past season, played in half of the games. They got a bargain deal with him, I believe, for 3 years and at the league minimum. 45 hits this past season, and he had 2 goals, 4 assists. We saw his debut this past season. He's mostly spent his time, Chris, in the AHL and with Chicago, with Henderson. But here's a guy that could really bolster the bottom 6 if they can develop him in the right manner. But again, 3 years, 700, I think it goes up league minimum, maybe up to 750 at the max, around there.
We're in a great spot with him. I don't know exactly how these negotiations go, but my gut reaction is if you just make the jump. I got his hockey DB up here, same thing you were just looking at a second ago, but 18-19 down in the WHL, and then he goes to Chicago with the Wolves, obviously when they were part of the Knights organization, and then obviously over to Henderson. And like he never had big AHL numbers. Like a lot of times these AHL players, like you see maybe a potential trend in their statistics, but it seems like Leschyshyn is the type of player that's impressed in practices and stuff like that. And that's maybe where he got the attention of the Henderson coaching staff first, and then which is part of what got him to make the jump with VGK last year. His stats are not impressive at any recent level. Like they're not impressive at all. So that tells me he's doing something right in practice. He's got the respect of all his teammates, and maybe he's kind of the boring Keegan Colasar type without the hits, but he's in the right place playing defense and things like that. And he was only a -2 in a season where our defense was not its greatest, where all these injuries happened. He's only a -2. So he's in the right places on the ice. And if he does have an extended role where if he does play 40 or 50 games, we know he is a serviceable body. But I would like to see a step forward, obviously, in the scoring department a little bit and see if he can contribute a little more on both sides of the ice.
I think I read something. Was it Leschyshyn that I read was like in the bottom portion of the Corsi rankings? I think at one point this past season.
I have no idea. Maybe.
Yeah, no, I think that he was, again, he's serviceable, as you mentioned. He's a body. And, with both Leschyshyn and with Cotter, they came in to the VGK lineups at a time when Pete DeBoer just plugged a lot of players due to injuries, into the system. And that system obviously is going to change, as we know, this upcoming season. But, these players, I think, really they caught on pretty quickly because that is a jump. It's a quantum leap. And luckily for Leschyshyn, he held on 41 games in the National Hockey League this past season. Cotter, however, just played in 7 NHL games, Chris. First goal, as we remember, against Minnesota. That was on November the 9th. And then that's when, again, at a time when Pete DeBoer could do no wrong, as all those AHL players contributed. Remember at that time?
We were actually in Southern California for our Disney trip, and we were watching that game in the hotel bed after getting our butts. I was just crushed, not just physically, but also in Daddy's checking accounts. But a trip to Disney goes, folks. And I just remember watching. There's another
Donoff's checking account.
What's that?
The Donoff's checking account.
The Donoff checking it did. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I like that. But yeah, I remember just watching in bed on my phone, and I'm like, oh, cool, another first goal for an AHLer in one of their early games. So certainly exciting. And Cotter has the stats, right? Like if I'm going to go up and down the Silver Knights line, I'm going to look at Cotter. Pardon me. I'm going to look at Pavel Dorofeev and thinking, okay, these are the guys that are going to be making the jump. But no, Leschyshyn was really the one that stuck the entire year. And that's not necessarily a knock on Cotter and Dorofeev. Obviously, they got some room to grow, just like Leschyshyn does too. But I just think Leschyshyn found a way to gel and do all of the right things. If Cotter can take on that type of work mentality, if you will, and take some of that scoring touch, maybe he can in 40, 50 games, maybe he can score 4 or 5 goals and just be in the right place at the right time too.
So the first AHLers to be up with the big team, odds on, would you probably say Brisson and Korczak?
Yeah, Brisson
really
definitely the
I
chalk,
guess, right? Yeah,
Brisson's definitely going to be the chalk. Obviously, we'll get a better look when the camp starts in about 4 or so weeks, mid September, something like that. Korczak, I mean, I don't know if Nick Hague gets signed. I don't know, depending on the health of our defenseman, because if Hague is signed, we have a top 6. And I got to think Muramanov is probably 7th, just based on the experience. I could be wrong. But Korczak, I mean, I think he needs to play. I think he needs to play in as many AHL games as possible instead of being like Muramanov, I think is fine being the 7th defenseman on, the healthy scratch, so to speak, right? So I think Muramanov is not plateauing by any means, but he's just at that spot where he doesn't need to grow as much. And him being practicing with the Golden Knights on a daily basis could really help his game develop. Whereas Korczak, I think he really just needs to be on the ice playing those game situations. I could also see a scenario, though, where Korczak made the jump over Muramanov should there be an injury to our top six.
Don't forget that now here in the off season, you can find us on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. We are at Locked On VGK on Twitter, at Locked On VGK. Please subscribe on YouTube. And coming up on Wednesday's show, pretty interesting. We're going to be catching up on a crossover edition with the Locked On Kings. Before we go to break, are the Kings our number one rivals? I think fans would like to believe that they are, but not feeling it, not yet.
I think there's always going to be that animosity and hate when the Sharks come into the building. I think that's probably the first thing to say, but the Kings were the first rival. Like the Kings, I think, were the first rival, especially when Drew Doughty was. I mean, when someone's quote makes the ice in the playoffs, that tells you something right there.
So the quote again was something to the effect that they beat us now, but they won't.
There's no way they will be. There's no way they'll be a better team than us at the end of the season or in the playoffs, something along those lines.
Yeah.
You know, and I get the quote, fine, whatever.
It was great.
The Kings, I think, until not a major, were the rival. I think it's still the Sharks, but I think this year the Kings are going to be a little bit of a different team, especially a lot different than the Sharks.
Coming up next, we'll take a look. Chris wants to go shopping today. He's got the credit card, and he wants to fill up the rest of the roster for the Vegas Golden Knights. We'll return with more after this on Locked On Golden Knights. Hey, if you haven't tried Built Bar Puffs yet, you are depriving yourself of one of life's greatest joys. And guess what? There's a new flavor. Are you ready? Delicious, indulgent cookie dough covered in chocolate. That's right. Built has done it once again. Let me introduce you to the new favorite, cookie dough chunk puffs. They have a light and chewy texture, real cookie dough chunks, and of course, covered in 100% real chocolate. It's healthy for you. Cookie dough chunk puffs are only 160 calories. They have a whopping 15 grams of protein in them. Run to Built.com today. You can snag your box of cookie dough chunks, and for you, for your family, the perfect treat. Or you can find a really good hiding place and just hoard it for yourself, like the toilet paper in Chris's house. Like all Built bars, the new cookie dough chunk puffs are covered in 100% real chocolate. What's great about Built is that it's all about their bars. They are made with collagen protein. Your body absorbs more efficiently and provides tons of health benefits. Eat something that tastes good and is good for you. You are going to love the new cookie dough chunk puffs. Go to Built.com today. You can use the promo code LOCKED15 and get 15% off of your order. Go to Built.com. Use the promo code LOCKED15. Welcome back to Locked On Golden Knights. Little ad lib in there for you, Chris. Tony Cardasco and Chris Golick. And once again, please subscribe to @LockedOnVGK on our YouTube channel. Chris has the credit card today. I posed a question early Monday morning on Twitter, and I was asking, okay, let's see. I just want to be precise here. What is the missing piece for the Golden Knights, Chris? Experienced goalie, another scorer, of course, my favorite, enforcer.
This is where I'm supposed to talk?
Yeah, what's your priority there?
So
Spend your money.
Right. No, before I kind of start talking about the credit card, this is probably the unpopular perspective, but I put the goalie last. I'm willing at this point to gamble with Logan Thompson, with Brossoit hopefully being a formidable backup, and hopefully with Hutchinson, catching some lightning in a bottle to have some positive games. I think he spends most of his season with Henderson once Brossoit is back. It seems like we're married to Brossoit at this point. I think something would have happened by now if there was going to be some big change, unless tomorrow he gets announced he's going to miss the rest of the season due to an injury. That would just be that'd be so VGK, Tony, if that happened. So I'm going to put goalie for my least priority, and I'm willing to gamble right now. I'm willing to gamble. I've mentioned it just seems like the goalie position in the NHL, like NFL quarterbacks, there's like 6 amazing quarterbacks. There's like 7 or 8 serviceable quarterbacks. There's another 4 or 5 quarterbacks that are fine. And then like quarterbacks from the rank from 20 to 32 for the starters. And then your next like 14 or 15 second stringers. It's just terrible. The NFL quarterback position is so strange, but the NHL goaltending position is different. I just feel like every NHL team is able to dig up multiple goalies. I mean, look at VGK. If Leonard was healthy, all of a sudden now we got Leonard Brossoit and Logan Thompson. Our depth obviously is compromised at the moment, but that could take care of itself either by LT stepping up or something happening in the season, depending on how things go. The next 2 topics you mentioned were scoring or the enforcer. I think I tilt a little more on the scoring side right now than the enforcer, just simply because Pacioretty is gone, Dodonov is gone. That's could be 50 goals in a regular circumstance. So I think VGK needs another, now that we have some money to spend, I think they need someone that can contribute on the top 6. The enforcer is important, though. Don't get me wrong. The enforcer is definitely important. And I really hope Colasar has maybe beefed up a little bit, has maybe taken some boxing lessons, not doing the punching bag Cam Russell, school of thinking the way he used to fight for the Blackhawks in the 90s and stuff like that. We definitely need Colasar to step up to be that presence. This is where I go back to Nazem Kadri right now, folks. This is where I go back to Kadri. He fills both of those voids. And I forgot who I was talking. I think it was just an interaction on Twitter or something like that. I don't like Kadri.
You've had several interactions.
Fair enough. Yeah, Twitter. I'm having fun with you folks, but I don't want it to go unnoticed. I do appreciate whether you agree, disagree, or anything.
It's awesome.
I love the chatter, folks. I love the chatter. A couple you get a little personal at times. That's not necessary, but
that's when we call him the enforcer, our own enforcer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. I'll get my son on the Twitter beat for a few minutes for y'all. But I think someone like Nazem Kadri gives us that grits. He gives us that edge. He is a player you prepare for in the other team's locker room because he can score and because he's going to play with that edge and just he's going to do some dumb things. He's going to do some dumb things. And I think if the Golden Knights were to sign them, there's going to be some point in the season we're going to be like, why did we sign this dude? And then 3 games later, he's going to get a goal and just crush a few people. We're going to be like, okay, this is why we signed this dude. So that's really why I think to the shopping segment now, if you will, I really would like VGK to try and land Kadri on a 1-year deal. There's a reason no one signed him for an extended term, Tony. There is a reason no one has given him $7 or $8 million for 3 seasons, which is probably what he's trying to get.
No one has the money left, do they? I mean, at this
there's
stage
some teams that do. There's some we talked about that. I think
the Islanders, I think were
Islanders, Anaheim. I think those are really, I think, the chalk teams that have money available.
Again, though, right, Chris? You want VGK if you know that there's some serious talks going on with Anaheim. Here's where VGK comes in for the block.
Yeah, I mean, for a single season scenario, sure. I mean, I think Kadri has a chip on his shoulder and thinks he probably is a borderline franchise player at this point. I don't agree with that, but I think he is certainly a top tier, top level acquisition that could get you over the hump. Will he sign for between $5 and $6 million? That's the biggest question, because I think he really wants $7 million plus right now. And he's not getting it, folks. He is not getting it unless he wants to consider going to a bottom feeder for a little bit. Like, that's the only way he's getting it. I mean, maybe Calgary has the money available, but I think no one wants to play in Alberta. No disrespect, but I just think that's the vibe happening up there right now. So if VGK wants to make a splash and keep going with the shiny new toys, all of a sudden with that $8 million we have, if we can find a way to get him in the 5.55 range, maybe 6, find a way to get Haig in that, 2.2, 2.3, 2.5 range, we got a team, folks. We got a team there. If that doesn't work, I think your second option to round out this roster, Brayden Holtby, last year with Dallas, injury season, he could be on the tail of his career. That could backfire massively if we sign him, or he could be able to contribute 35, 40 games, really help Logan Thompson develop his game. I think I mentioned this on Friday. No one in the AHL, folks, has made a bigger save on T-Mobile Arena ice than Brayden Holtby, obviously referencing Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Final. He's comfortable in the building. He's carried the Stanley Cup in the building, so he would be a fun acquisition, health pending, of course. If you only get Brayden Holtby at, $2 million or so, that leaves between $3 and $5 million. Enter Paul Stastny, enter Phil Kessel. Phil Kessel went 8-41 on a just garbage dumpster fire Arizona Coyote team. He could contribute very well in the top 6 for VGK. Will he sign for $3 million, or does he want $6 million at this stage of his career? I don't know. I also don't know what the weight is personally for him versus money, Stanley Cup contending roster, and being in the city of Las Vegas, being willing to, shed some money off of what he wants. So, I mean, there's a path to land Stastny and Kessel both, and Nick Hague possibly, if they don't make that splash. You do that. I mean, that would be pretty interesting. I don't know.
I'm still going to put Hague at around $3 million and have $5 million in cap space left when all said and done. Perhaps
Hague, Holtby, Stastny. Is there a way? I don't know.
What do you think of these couple of names? Sonny Milano, of course, still without a deal from
Heard that
Columbus.
name a lot.
Yep. Evan Rodriguez, who had that spell, he had 7 goals, I think, in 6 games at one point this season. Chris, what do you make of those 2 free agents? I had Kessel on my list too, but I'm just not sold on Kessel anyway. So I don't know how he.
No one's sold on Kessel. I mean, no one is sold on Kessel.
Where would he fit in?
Anywhere. He fit in the top 6. I mean, again, he got 49 points on a garbage fire team, and we have a top 6, folks. Like VGK has a good top 6. I think.
Yeah, it's the bottom 6 that's of concern.
The line 3 is my concern. The bottom line 4, assuming it's Waugh, Colasar, and Carrier. Line 3 is the big question mark coming in next season.
Yeah, that is a big question mark.
So
Milano?
I'm looking at Milano right now. Solid hair game. Look at that. But 14-20 and a -9 with the Ducks. I like that just by itself right there. 6 foot, small guy, 6 foot 180. So like a March or so plus about 3 inches maybe. And you said what, Evan Rodriguez for the other one?
Yeah, Rodriguez from Pittsburgh, I think, is still out there. Last I checked.
Yeah, I'm looking
a little inconsistent, but he did have that good spurt, I think, in there this past season.
I mean, he played all 82 games, folks. All 82 games, 19-24 plus 3.
A healthy body, sign him now.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, 29 years old, so he's got the experience, and I would like that. Well, do you know offhand what his contract was last season?
I didn't. Yeah, I didn't take notice.
Right
I just wanted to, while you're checking on our poll, again, go to @LockedOnVGK. What's the missing piece for the Golden Knights? It's about down the middle. Experienced goalie, another scorer, or an enforcer. I'm just curious what the fans are thinking out there. I say experienced goalie. Even though I do, talk a lot about an enforcer, I still say goalie. We'll get more into goalie, another discussion here in our final segment today. But yeah, Rodriguez,
$1 million last year. I can't see him getting much more than that. And let's check Milano now.
Well, let's do that.
Yeah, I mean those are that's where you're hunting for your Nick Waugh right now, right? That's really what VGK is going to be doing if they don't make a splash with Kadri or something like that. They're going to be hunting for that Nicholas Waugh who's up and coming, or in VGK, the VGK fans' eyes, the next coming of Marc-Andre Fleury, apparently. By the way, y'all roasted me when I said $3 million was a bit of a reach.
You did say that. Yep.
Yeah, Milano was 1.7 last year. He was 1.7. So I mean, sure, somewhere Milano or Rodriguez in that anywhere in that 1 to 1.5, 1.6, 1.7 range. Sure, if it doesn't work out for the splash of Kadri or something like that, that could be interesting. Or sign them both. Sign them both. Lock up Nick Hague, and then there's still a little bit of money left if there's a goalie available. And the other thing, Tony, I've mentioned, and this is probably more of a shout out to Ken at Sinbin, but Ken mentioned don't do anything for a while. Don't do anything for a while and see what course the season takes. And I don't mind that, but I don't think VGK does that. And
they have to make it. We knew all along. We felt that they have to have some acquisition, right? They have to acquire someone. There is a missing piece there that they definitely need. And I don't think this team with $5 million, let's say, in cap space money, They're not. They're going to go shopping. They're going to Nordstrom's today.
Oh
They're
yeah, they're
on that.
already shopping, no doubt.
They're on that caravan bus, and they're stopping at every mall along the way.
It's Black Friday, and they're certainly sitting outside waiting for the doors to open. I agree with that. I think the reference for possibly waiting was if you go 15, 18, 22 games, if you are, let's just go with the 20 game. Let's go with the quarter pole for a second. You make no moves. You just start season 6 right now with the roster. You play 20 games. If you go 6-14 in that spell, Nazem Kadri is not going to get the Golden Knights to where they need to get to. If you know what I mean, if we're 6-14 without a Nazem Kadri or any free agents, I don't think anyone is going to make us that solid of a team, unfortunately. The same boat. If the team, we don't do anything and we start off 10-10, 12-8, some combination of that, we know there's something there. And then that's when you possibly go shopping. But the risk now becomes your Rodriguez, your Milano, your Kadri, everyone has been signed already. And a trade that happens in November versus a trade that happens at the deadline, I think at the deadline, the buyers can possibly have the edge depending on how bad the sellers want to sell. But if a team is trying to make a big splash in November, like, I don't know, trading for a Jack Eichel type, I think that's when the buyer is certainly going to have to spend up a little bit. And we got money to burn right now, folks, but it's this is like getting that. This is like for those people that budget for one of those jobs where you have 2 paychecks a month. And then those 2 or 3 months a year, when you get that third paycheck, it feels like found money. It's really not found money. At the end of the day, at the end of the year, it's all goes to the same account and everything. But it just feels a little bit different because you got that third paycheck in the end of June.
See, I'm thinking that your philosophy is for VGK to outscore its opponents. Don't worry about the goaltender at all. You think that they have enough firepower where they're going to be able to do that on a consistent basis?
I think there's enough firepower, and I like the upside of Logan Thompson. What I like about Logan Thompson, beyond his skill, is he is cocky in the right sense. He hasn't been around long enough around at the NHL level long enough. Pardon me the way I said that there. But he hasn't been at the NHL level enough to maybe understand the pressure, right? He hasn't been around long enough, and he's on the ice. He's smiling. He's got that swagger. He motivates the team. I mean, this is kind of unfair to Robin Lehner, I think, but I do believe the team just had more motivation when LT was on the ice versus Robin Lehner. I'm not taking a shot at Robin Lehner with that, folks. Please don't. I know someone's waiting, I'm sure, to at me on Twitter or YouTube for that one. But the team just had more fire when LT was out there. So if somehow that synergy, that blend, that chemistry, whatever term you want to put in there, it could all work. And where Logan Thompson can log 6. If Logan Thompson plays 60 games this season, something good's happening, right? Something good is happening if LT gets 60 games starting for VGK.
Well, we're going to explore a little bit more. We'll talk our further discussions on the goaltending situation when we return right after this. You are listening to Locked On Golden Knights. Welcome back to Locked On Golden Knights. Thanks for making us your first listen and first view each and every day. Tony Cardasco and Chris Golick in Las Vegas. Make sure that you subscribe now to our YouTube channel at Locked On VGK. You could find us on Twitter at Locked On VGK as well. And Chris, so after our show on Friday, I saw where both Daniel Negreanu and Mike McKenna sided with me. They both endorsed my pick for the next goalie up in Semyon Varlamov. They were like, sign him now. However, upon further exploration, I found that Varlamov has a 16-team no trade clause in his contract. And I didn't realize this. He turned down a trade to the Edmonton Oilers. Did you know that? Yeah, that's what I saw. I saw reports where he turned down a trade at one point during the season.
Like this past season?
Yeah.
Why? I mean, what did the reasoning come out? Like,
I don't know, but maybe, they're obviously on his no trade, roster there. I don't know.
So what, he'd rather go to Arizona? I mean, I don't know what his situation is, but that's
he was waiting for VGK to call.
Oh, there you go. But he's $5 million. He's a $5 million AVV. I'm assuming he's in a contract year coming up or pretty close to it.
This is his final year under the current 4-year contract.
I don't know. I mean, because then you're almost pushing Logan Thompson back to the AHL at that point once Brossoit comes back, right? Unless the plan is as weird as this one sounds, unless the plan is you make the deal
LT's
for
one or
Varlamov.
two. LT's one.
I don't disagree with that, Tony. But
Yeah.
all I'm saying is if you make the trade for Varlamov, here's what happens. He's your starter. Or he's not, he's your 1 or 2. We'll say it like that. He's your 1 or 2. Brossoit comes back. The only way, because Brossoit's got a one-way deal, I believe, right? Doesn't have a 2-way contract. So maybe the plan is, if they were to get Varlamov, is to wait for Brossoit to come back, play him for a game or two. Hopefully he looks good. Put him on waivers and hope someone picks him up.
Just keep him on LTIR the entire season.
VGK is good at that sort of thing.
Exactly. They could stow him away. The guy makes his money and comes back next season as a free agent. That's going to be my guess.
I get that, but I don't know. I don't know if that's in Brossoit's ideas of how he wants to spend 22-23. I think a goalie we should definitely just kind of highlight on a little bit is Hutchinson here.
Yeah,
and just see if we can make make something good out of this here. And he doesn't seem like he's going to be a bad candidate by any means like that, but he's been jamming in the NHL since 2013, 2014, broke up with Winnipeg. Trying to keep there we go.
But imagine if you're Hutchinson, right, Chris? And imagine you come in here on the depth chart, you're number 4, and now you're number 2, possibly number 1, depending on how things shake out.
Hutchinson knew exactly where he was on the depth chart the moment he got signed. Because that goes back to, I think, what we think about Leonard. This Leonard injury is not new news. It's new news to the public. It's new news to me and you.
Not so much, though. We were suspicious.
Oh, we were suspicious, sure. But what I'm saying is this:
that he wouldn't start the season on the roster. We knew something was amiss, and we thought it could be maybe after the first of the year when he returned.
Right. All I'm saying is this was known amongst the VGK higher ups and probably players in the locker room, probably since sometime in June, maybe July at the latest. That's the point that I'm making. Yeah, we were definitely suspicious about it, even though Leonard said otherwise, and that's something he's going to have to answer to later. So
how is Hutchinson in pond hockey?
that looks like that's where he played a lot of up in Winnipeg and Manitoba and stuff like that. It looks like that's where he's going to be where he cut his teeth a lot. I'm trying to see so the most games he played the most games he logged at the NHL level looks like the 14-17 run, getting 30, 28 or so games. So that means he bounced around between the AHL club those seasons. 20, no, that's with the Marlies. He hasn't started double-digit games at the NHL level since 2015, 2016.
Yeah,
folks. That's a concern.
Yeah,
that's definitely a concern. So I think he's our case of emergency break glass. Do we want him as if he's number 2 to start the season, that tells me Brossoit will be coming back sooner than later. If the starting tandem is LT and Michael Hutchinson, I think Brossoit will be back within the first 3 weeks of the season, because you cannot risk, folks. You cannot risk LT going down. It could happen. VGK's goalie injury luck, it probably will happen. You can't risk having to go a month with Hutchinson and then not having Varlamov on the roster, or someone, or a Holtby or someone else that could carry that mail. I'm still concerned about allocating $5 million to the goaltender position, but I'm not against it, especially after I look at Hutchinson's numbers. Maybe there's some scouting metrics. Maybe they're going to catch lightning in a bottle with them. Like I said, the Nick Waugh effect, folks. Maybe this is the goaltending version of Nick Waugh, someone McPhee and McCrimmon had their eyes on for a while and, got him for basically nothing. After that, Patera, I think he's played one game at the NHL level, something like that. He looks good for the Silver Knights. He started a lot of games down the stretch. It actually looked really well. Isaiah Seville, he looks good, but he's got some time to go. Or Savali. I would say Seville because I'm thinking, is it Seville or Savali? I don't know.
They call him the barber of Seville.
Okay, fair enough. Good, because I like that, because I think of Dave Seville and the Alvin and the Chipmunks. My kids love the Chipmunks, so one day I actually want to get us all the sweaters.
The helium thing? Can we do the helium? The show on helium?
As much fun as that would be. As much fun as that would be. No, just get like the red, the green, and the blue sweaters and put like Seville's number on the back and just kind of stand back there. And I think that would actually be kind of cool. That actually, maybe the Gaulics will start something there.
So Hutchinson's on a 2-way contract also.
Yeah, that God, thank God. Thank God. I mean, Hutchinson was
You can't tell me that LT and Hutchinson are goalies that could win a Stanley Cup. That's the way that I like to size things up.
You can't tell me LT is not.
LT is on the upward trend, okay?
Mm-hmm.
The trajectory is going up and his value is going through the roof right now. I am concerned durability as the number one, starter.
Yeah.
He proved that he could play. I remember Pete DeBoer, Chris, saying last season, I knew that he would be up with the team and contend with Leonard and Brossoit, because Pete DeBoer had said at one point he's done all that he could do on the minor league level. So where else was there for him to go? He had to be up with the big league team.
But on the other side of that, Tony, this is where stuff gets really mixed up. On the other side of that, McCrimmon, I believe, was asked at the start of season 5 about but this is before Brossoit was signed. They were asked about LT, and McCrimmon shot it down like that, folks. I'm sure we can dig that up somewhere, but McCrimmon shot it down faster than I could snap my finger there, basically saying LT, not yet, folks, not yet. And all of a sudden, look at where he is now. So when I say that LT, and when I argue with Tony about Thompson being able to win a Stanley Cup, that's how I feel about any young goalie that is on the upward trend. We have seen goalies just get hot. Most reasonably, Jordan Binnington. Who knew who the heck Jordan Binnington was before the Blues went on that Stanley Cup run? Who knew anything about Jordan Binnington? I didn't. Outside of St. Louis, who knew anything about him? So that's the faith and hope that I hold on to. If Brossoit and Michael Hutchinson were our starters, we're toast. We better win every game 6-5. So that's the argument that I pose, that I think we do have a chance to catch lightning in a bottle with Logan Thompson.
You don't think that now teams will be on to LT a little bit more,
100%
more fully scouted? And
the second you said it, Tony, you said it great on Friday. The second time through the rotation, once the film is out, using a baseball reference, obviously, the second time through the rotation, the game gets harder on the pitcher. A rookie pitcher who makes a spot start is a team's nightmare for baseball, because the starter went down, everyone is ready, because there's so much scouting and video at the MLB level that goes into preparation. And if all of a sudden 3 hours before the game they go to their AAA starter who just is lucky enough to be in town, if I'm in a sports book, or if I got my phone, I'm absolutely hammering that team to win the game. So I get what you're saying.
Coming up on Wednesday's show, we're going to be speaking with our guy Eddie from Locked On LA Kings. He is starting his rival reports this week. And they started, I think, today with San Jose, and we're up next. And be kind, okay? Kindness matters.
I like it, and I like the Kings. I love the Kings this season. It's going to be fun.
They're going to be pretty damn good. So we'll get into that on Wednesday's show. And we'll get into what the Friday, hopefully on Friday, barring any major news with the VGK. We thank everyone for tuning in. Thanks again for making us your first listen. Make sure that you check out the new YouTube channel. You can see our mugs right there. So sunshiny, early in the morning, all that. And that's at Locked On VGK. From a man, Chris Golick, I'm Tony Cardasco. So long from Las Vegas. We'll see you Wednesday. We're going to get into some rivalry chatter. Stay